Hi students, welcome to week 2. Hope you had a good weekend. During this weekend I ran the Twin Cities Marathon, so I want to say thank you to anybody who's out there watching, because without those spectators that is a really long run, so you guys make it better. And for those of you who are maybe far away, I'm hoping that you avoided the path of the storm over the last week, and if not, I hope things are rebuilding okay for you. Keep in touch if anything about those storms are keeping you from your work. Alright, couple things. Grades are up to date. So check out your grade books, make sure you know how to access those. There's several ways to do that. I'll show you my favorite way. It just seems the easiest for me. When I click on my own name, or you click on your name at the top, there are several shortcuts here. The one that looks like a little check mark on a piece of paper will take you to your notifications, and it'll show your grades in different classes, as well as the descriptions of what has been turned in, what's not graded over here on the right hand side. So that's my favorite way to get into grades, but you can access that however you find to be the easiest. Alright, then along with grades, I want you to make sure you take a look at your Module 1 discussion grades. I'm not sure why this is taking so long to load. There it is. Okay. When you log in and look at your grades, you'll see that you have a score out of 10 for your Module 1 discussion. And under that, you'll see feedback. I want to make sure everyone accesses that feedback. If you're getting a 10 out of 10, it'll say exactly why. If you're not getting a 10 out of 10, it'll say what you're missing or what you need to do better. This week, most of you, if you did have any points off, it was due to APA format. And that's always a concern. So APA format is something that you will see again and again in this class and others. If you have never used it before, you've never accessed it, you need to know how to do that. The best way to do that is to go to the APA guide. Just get there real quick. You can access this page through the course, through the library, through your student portal. There's a million ways to get here, but you do need to be familiar with this. There are a few really important things, but I want to point you to references. When you are citing a reference, citing a source of any kind, you need to make sure you're doing it correctly. And under that drop-down menu, you can choose exactly what you were looking at. So if you were using a table or a graph or an image, you would click here. If you were using something from the course itself, so a lot of times students like to use the PowerPoints to reference, that would be under course materials. But most of you right now are using websites, so I'll use that as the example. When you click on websites, you've got a whole page worth of information here. If you scroll down, here's the really cool stuff. It gives you examples of exactly how it should look. So it says author's last name, comma, first initial period, middle initial period, and you can see how the rest of this looks. And then also there's an example. So there's the last name, the first initial. This one didn't have a middle initial, so that's omitted. The parentheses, the date in the right order, and so forth. So that's there for you. If you find a website that did not have an author at all, first of all, it might not be credible, but if it is, you would use the website with no author tab. There is a website with no date tab, but I really urge you to think twice on that one, because if there's a website that doesn't have any sort of date, it's probably not a reliable source. Alright, I hope that helps. APA Guide is honestly one of the best resources that you'll have throughout your career at Rasmussen, so get familiar with it now. And then I had a couple students bring up issues about the, just give me a second to get back here. Oh my goodness, sorry about this. There were a couple issues with, or technical issues with the quiz this week, and I want you to know, and this goes out to everyone, that if you have a technical issue with a quiz, you will get one retake throughout the quarter, and that's a pretty firm policy, just one. So if you're having chronic internet issues, or you don't have access to a computer very regularly, that's something that you need to address now. But if you do have technical issues in the future, and you can prove it, so if I log in and I see that you actually answered all the questions when you said that it cut out after 2 minutes, that's not going to be approved. But if you do have a real technical issue and for some reason the quiz does not work for you, let me know. You get 1 retake, and it has to be due to a technical issue. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. And then that leads us into Module 2 stuff. So when you get into Module 2, some of you may have noticed that the lesson content was missing over the weekend. Not really sure why that is, but it's fixed now, so it's there. And if you didn't have any trouble with that, ignore that comment. Under the Module 2 assignments, we have case studies due this week. This case study, you do need to click on the title in order to access the Dropbox. When you scroll down, you'll submit your submission through Browse My Computer. You'll attach the file. And I just want to make sure, I know I went over this last week too, but when you're answering the questions, I want you to leave this as is. So that means leave the question as is, just, there you go, type your answer underneath. And if you could, it would really be great if you change the color of your answer. That makes it much faster for me to grade and faster for you to get your grades back, which I know is something that you really care about. All right, so answer those as is. 2 ways you can list your references here. Some students like to list the reference right underneath the answer. So you might start off, say, Smith, comma, J, and the date and so forth here. Or what you can do is use all of your sources at the very end of the document. So after you answer your last question, you could do your list, and then your Smith, comma, J, da 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 da, and then let's see, Nelson, comma, A, da 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 da. So you get the idea. You can either list them all at the bottom or individually under your answers. Whichever works better for you is fine with me, as long as they're in the right format and as long as they're in there. That's the most important part. Don't worry about a title page. This is just a case study, so you can leave this as is, answers, citations, and you're good to go. I'll get these graded as soon as I can. Students sometimes get a little anxious, and I get that because I've been a student and actually am a student right now. So you're anxious about getting those grades back. I have 5 days to do so. So the Friday following the due date is the day that you know you'll have your case studies back. I try to do them much earlier, but I have many students in my courses this quarter. So bear with me. I'll always hit my due dates, as I expect you to, but just have a little patience and that'll make the course go much smoother. If you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you next week. Thanks.